Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Today I've got a video for you in the Tier 7 British battleship Vanguard, and this is going to be a look at the new changes that Wargaming has made to this ship. But before I get into that, I want to thank the new subscribers that recently subscribed. I think I've gotten about 10 subscribers since Friday, with that Friday night stream with Chili Games 17. And I just want to thank you guys, getting closer every day to my medium-term goal, I guess, of 1,000 subscribers. Once I hit that goal, I want to look into becoming a community contributor for this game so that I can bring you guys my own looks at all of the new premium ships that come out without having to buy any of them, although the ones that I've bought are ones that I wanted. Anyway, I'm in the Vanguard here, and a change has been made to the Vanguard. I would hesitate to call this change a buff. It's more like a little bit of spice, a little bit of seasoning, you see, that adds a new flavor to the way this ship plays. And you can see this new spice or seasoning, if you will, if you follow that analogy, in the form of a new consumable. Previously, the Vanguard only had two consumables: the damage control, of course, standard across all ships, and the repair party. Now it has a single reload booster. You could, if you wanted to, up the count of that reload booster by using a commander with the fully packed skill. I think maybe Jellicoe has it, so if you wanted to do that, you could. I, of course, am running a level 16 Azerlane Nelson commander on this, which I think that particular commander is probably the strongest British battleship commander, and I use her on the Hood, the Nelson, of course, the King George, and the Vanguard. And if I ever get the Monarch, I'll probably use her on that. Reason I hesitate to call this reload booster a buff is because you only get one of them, so you do have to be very careful and very selective when you use it. And this just so happens to be the first game I took the Vanguard out in order to test this new reload booster, and I got lucky enough to find myself in a situation where I could deploy it for maximum effect. You're going to see that here in a couple minutes. And this is not any kind of barn burner game. This is just a good, decent Vanguard game with a nice moment of reload booster use. Now, I'm not sure exactly why they continue to add things to this ship. I think it was pretty strong before this reload booster, but the reload booster does make it a ship that is capable of dealing a one-time devastating punishment to any enemy ship it sees making a mistake. And by making a mistake, I mean going broadside. Another part of the reason I wanted to do this particular video before I put out my Vladivostok review, which is coming, is because lately on social media, for whatever reason, I've come across several posts with people complaining about the Vanguard. You know, they've unlocked the ship, they've purchased it, they've played a couple matches in it, and then some of them have done things like sold it, which is bizarre to me. They say it's a weak ship, it sucks, it's not competitive with the other Tier 7 battleships, and you know what, honestly, I beg to differ. I don't think this ship sucks at all, far from it. I think it's a pretty decent ship. The only problem is it could be punished very, very harshly if it made mistakes, and it still can be punished. But now, with this reload booster, it does have the ability to punish other people just as harshly. there you go, 23k on that Tirpitz. The reload booster has been activated. The shots are ready again, and just like that, another 15k off that Tirpitz. He is about to be dead. He is much more concerned with the friendly cruiser and destroyer who are here providing support for me. And he's turned around, but that's not going to save him. Final salvo there, takes him out. I think he started that engagement with about 3/4 health, and there we reduced him with the help of the cruiser and the destroyer supporting us to 0 hit points, just like that. So now the Vanguard is capable of dealing out a one-time rapid-fire devastating barrage of punishment to any ship it sees broadside. Now this ship was pretty strong, in my opinion, even before this reload booster, and let me make the case for you here real quick. It's got 381mm guns, or 15-inch guns. They shoot that unique British short-fused AP shell, which, as you could see from the Tirpitz, although maybe that's not a great example because the Tirpitz does have that turtleback armor, which does work now, and means, it's not very easy or even maybe very possible to score Citadel hits on the Tirpitz at such close range. But anyway, the short-fused British AP does make it very difficult, or makes it exceedingly rare for you to score Citadel hits on enemy battleships. But on enemy cruisers, it's absolutely devastating. Usually with the battleships, they have multiple layers of armor, and these short-fused British AP shells will penetrate the first layer of armor, and then detonate before penetrating the second layer of armor, which is often the one that protects the Citadel. Doesn't mean they can't do catastrophic damage to battleships, they absolutely can. You just aren't going to be seeing Citadels very often. Also, the Vanguard, on my build here with the Azerlane Nelson Commander, has excellent HE shell characteristics. I think the maximum HE shell damage is over 6,000 on this build, and it does have a 41 or 42% chance to start fire, which means it does have some of the best HE shells in the game, and if you want to use it as an HE spammer, it is quite effective at doing that because it has a blisteringly quick reload. 22 seconds here on my build, and I don't think I'm using any commander skills that influence the reload of the guns. I'm just using the reload mod, or the gun reload mod, whatever it is in that 4th mod slot that you can get for the ship. I've reduced the reload time to 22 seconds, which is faster than a Jean Bart, and actually I think it's faster than the Jean Bart. It might be about the same, and it's about as fast as, say, a Tirpitz or Bismarck. So it's got one of the faster reloads at tier 7. Allows you to pump out those shells a lot. And there we are shooting that Kutuzov. You can see what kind of damage this does against cruisers, even when it doesn't hit their Citadel. So, it's got strong shell characteristics. I think actually with this Azerlane Nelson Commander, the Big 7 skill increases, of course, the HE shell damage, but also the AP shell damage. And I have her at level 16, so I think I've got like almost Iowa-esque levels of maximum AP shell damage. So, there you go. The only real problem that I think you could identify with this ship, and the one that if you did identify it, I would, I guess, agree with you on, is that the firing angles on the guns leave a little bit to be desired. I mean, you could see there just briefly for a second when we had the indicator on those rear turrets. That's about as far as they go. So you can see if I turned a little bit more to port, I'd have all 4 guns on target. And, you know, you do have to expose an awful lot of broadside to get all 4 of those turrets on target. And of course, as we all probably know, if we've ever shot at a Vanguard, the Citadel is extremely easy to hit and penetrate when the ship is broadside. So I think that is a big part of the reason why people are frustrated with this ship. In order to get all those guns on target, you do have to expose a lot of broadside, and then you leave yourself vulnerable to being citadeled. But, you know, keep in mind that that's not very different from something like an Iowa. The Iowa's citadel is also extremely exposed, and if you go broadside in that, you can be deleted very easily. The only difference is that the Iowa's firepower is concentrated up toward the bow, so you don't really have to turn and get that rear turret on the Iowa on the target in order to be effective. With the Vanguard, you probably want to get all 4 guns on target when you can. But you can make the rather poor firing angles a non-issue simply by, you know, paying attention to the ships that have shots on you and being careful about when you turn to expose that broadside. Now this Leon here, he's not aiming at me, or he is aiming at me, but he just shot, and he's on very low health, so I've calculated that it's not too much of a risk to turn and expose broadside to him, and by doing so I'm able to take him down. So you just need to pay attention to what's going on here. You know, you gotta turn and get those rear turrets on target only when it's safe to do so. So you got an enemy battleship aiming at you, you make sure you stay angled. Maybe you shoot the front 2 turrets, you wait till they shoot. When they do, then you know you can turn and expose that broadside to get those rear guns on target. And then you turn back and re-angle again. Unfortunately, sometimes you run into situations where you have enemy Bensons pop out, and you have to turn away in order to avoid their torpedoes, which exposes your broadside to the rest of the enemy team. And then they do hit you sometimes for pretty nasty damage like that. That was above 10k that hit, so it wasn't pleasant. But we had to avoid those torpedoes. Do have the HE loaded now, and you can see it's pretty devastating against destroyers. I think if I had all 4 guns on that guy, that probably would have been a kill in a single salvo. But the Friendly Shores takes down the Benson, and notice that myself, the Shores, and that destroyer for a second were the last ones left alive on our team. We did take the Charlie cap and the Bravo cap, so the 3 of us as a unit are basically responsible for winning this game. So thank you thank you very much to that friendly destroyer and the Friendly Shores. Really good job. Thanks for the support. We all worked very well together, and that's nice to see in the random battles. Now we just need to not die, and the game will be wrapped up. But, you know, another thing that makes the Vanguard pretty strong, that heal, you can see just how much I'm able to regain if I deploy that heal. Now that is not like Nelson level heal, but that's a lot stronger than your typical tier 7 battleship heal. So that's another thing that goes into making the ship pretty strong. And the armor, by the way, it's not bad. As long as it's angled, it's capable of bouncing 406 millimeter guns, 16-inch guns, 15-inch guns, all that. I don't think the bow is very weak. I don't think it can be overmatched by anything yet in the game until the Yamato makes another appearance, and possibly the Xarkun first, because I guess you can fit the 420mm guns on the Xarkun first. I don't know what those are capable of overmatching because, of course, we don't have an armor viewer. So, you know, if you want to petition Wargaming for something, how about you all ask them for an armor viewer? That's something we desperately need, much more than we need aircraft carriers. Anyway, the game is over now. We have won. There's a look at the Vanguard for you with the new reload booster. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave this video with a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I want to get to that 1,000 subs, so help me make it happen. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.